Hi all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to Scuba Diving Magazine and welcome to Ask Mark, our scuba diving Q&A, where I, Mark, a former scuba diving instructor, do my best to answer your scuba diving questions. So if you do have any scuba diving questions, by all means, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Use this Ask Mark hashtag at the beginning or the end, it doesn't really matter as long as it's in there. It just helps me find them in the comment section behind the scenes in YouTube. But today I'm answering a question from 77 Taco about training out of air situations. So 77 Taco says, not sure if this has been answered before. As a recently qualified open water diver, we obviously did a bunch of out of air drills. All of the drills began with a full in breath and instruction to gently exhale throughout. It seems that actually doesn't simulate what is likely to happen or be experienced. So are those drills as taught really valid, or should they be trained differently? I mean, this is a tricky one. I get what you're saying in that in a real world situation, when you discover that your primary second stage isn't working, it's probably going to be just after you've exhaled, because it's not going to be like, oh, my second stage has failed. It's going to be, uh-oh. So in a real world situation, chances are, you're just going to be on an empty breath before needing to. That really just limits your time frame to switch to an alternate second stage. And in training, if we were to train this where we say, okay, empty your lungs and then switch to your buddy's alternate, that just opens up a whole like kettle of fish, in that a lot of students, anyway, the traditional way, nice big breath of air, blowing little bubbles, you've got a lot of time to assess, find that triangle, find that second stage, put it in your mouth, make sure it's the right way up, because a lot of students just put it in, as soon as they see that mouthpiece, it goes in their mouth, whereas it's upside down or not. The exhaust tee always has to go downwards, otherwise you get a very wet breathe. And yeah, if you don't have that time to sort yourself out, put it in and breathe from it, a lot of people are just going to gasp some air and just aspirate. So I get what you're saying, but in training, I don't think it's a good idea. In training, we're just building up that muscle memory of just, switching to a second stage, finding that purge button, and then breathing gently. Whereas if you've been out of air for any length of time, you're just going to grab whatever and just sort of ram it in your mouth, which once you've been diving for a while, you've got a bit of experience, you're going to do it right. But when you're learning, no, you're still learning, so it's better to do it as gradually and comfortably as possible and then progress. I would like to see it a bit more in the training courses. They may have changed it since I've taught, but we only did it a handful of times. You do it in a few different ways, just doing it stationary and then going up to the surface and whatnot. But realistically, some training courses, they do it like mid-dive. It's not just, right, here we are, we're going to do all of our skills, and we're going to do them all in order. It's just as you're swimming, as you're on a dive, the instructor will literally just point to you and just tell you that you are out of air, and then you have to secure a second stage somewhere. So that's a bit more realistic, and your buddy is a bit more, to kind of think about what to do. I prefer a bit of that in a lot of foundational courses, but no, I wouldn't worry too much about them experiencing being on a completely empty lung, because that just adds an extra complication where it's already fairly complicated. And some students do still cough and spit and do all that kind of stuff when they've got plenty of time. They've just breathed from a second stage, and then it's literally the primary out, octo in, they still cough and spit and get some water in their mouth. So no, I think that's just going to lead to someone just inhaling water a bit too frequently for me. Yeah, another thing that I'd like to see is a bit more long hose primary donate. I'm not a huge fan of a traditional octo setup. If you've been following the channel for any length of time, you know I do a long hose primary donate where if you're the out of air diver, I actually donate the second stage that's in my mouth, so that one, I know that this is working, it's clear, it hasn't got any silt or anything inside of it, it's safe to breathe at the current depth, and it's usually on a much longer hose than this, so you have plenty of space. You don't have to be within like 6 inches of one another. I just find that a little bit safer. But as far as the exercises, yeah, I wouldn't worry about making them do it on empty lungful. Sure, it's good like experience, but most of the training that we do is nothing like real world situations. All of the Caesars and even the rescue course, compared to the real thing, no, you suddenly see sort of someone's eyes when they're actually panicking. All of that just kind of, you can't replicate that in a training situation unless you've got a really good like dive master teaching assistant. I mean, we've been teaching like this for years, and touch wood, it does the job, and it really comes down to that. We're building muscle memory. It's not the fact that you're doing it on empty lungfuls, it's more that you're securing that second stage from wherever it is, you're making sure it's the right way up and you're breathing from it. It's not a matter of, I need to breathe from it. It is just, yeah, get that in your mouth the right way up, secure it. Even if you're not exhaling into it, you're pressing that purge button. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I think the benefits of doing it on an empty lungful don't outweigh the potential downsides to it, unfortunately. I think it's just safer to do it the way that we are currently, but I would like to extend it a bit more, so it's not just once or twice. We're doing it periodically throughout the dive just to practice, and also keep divers like buddy separation in mind. When I was probably a dive master, there was a group who had gone out to Egypt on a club trip, and they came back with a story where there was this buddy pair and they were forever doing their own thing, and yeah, one of them did have an out of air situation. I can't remember exactly what caused it, whether he just ran out of gas or whether something went pop, but one of the dive masters, who was also in the water, said that they swam past their buddy pair to get to their specific buddy, whereas they both were much closer. They both have alternates like pretty much in hand pointing towards him, but he just in his mind just said, no, I've got to get to my buddy's alternate. Screw that, whatever second stage is closest that you can breathe from. That's the one that I'm trying out. It doesn't have to be whoever I jumped in the water with, but a bit more practice and a bit more drills of, right, now you are out of air, go for it. You have to think about, oh, you know what, my buddy is right here. It is so much faster. So that I kind of would like to see a bit more of, but it's not up to me. I don't work in the training side of things anymore, and it would be a lot to change the curriculum of every instructor and every training course around the world, just like that. But hey, it would be nice to see some changes eventually. It's an interesting question, and it's good that you're thinking like that, in that, you know what, this is all pretty tame, this isn't going to be what it's like in the real world, and you're right, sometimes it is. It depends on the other diver and the situation. I've had some divers where, yeah, the inlet hose has just gone pop, and all of a sudden they just couldn't breathe. Others, it just happened quite gradually, and I think it free flowed. So all sorts of things, and they were very calm about it. It was just, there's something wrong with my second stage. You know, okay, do you want to breathe in this one whilst we try and fix it? I don't think we fixed it. We just had to end the dive there. But that was a successful out of air real world situation. Yeah, it's the initial like start off is rarely as like calm and collected, especially when there's lots of bubbles going on. But once you have secured that that second stage, everything calms down. Everyone, I say everyone, most divers just assess the situation and figure out, okay, let's get out of here. Yeah, that's why I quite like a long hose primary donate setup. Yeah, it's quite tricky to get training as real world as possible, especially with some of the situations that we're dealing with. It can get quite taxing, and if you have a lot of students, then that's just going to take forever to get the right situation for each of them. And it has to be like, for some of the things, it has to be a surprise. And once you've done it the first time, because one of the things in the Dive Master course is each Dive Master candidate has to lead a dive, and you kind of have to throw in some spanners for them to fix. And once you've done it, like for the first candidate and some for the second candidate, any others who are paying the slightest of attention pick up that, hey, I'm going to keep an eye on him because he's going to do something. So it kind of loses that. But yeah, I would like to see a few more like random spot checks for like out of air situations and masks and stuff, because it does happen. You'll be swimming along and you won't notice that there's someone just on top of you, and a fin will just knock your mask off. It's not very calmly, right, now you flood your mask and remove and replace. It is just bosh off, and you just need to be confident and have that muscle memory to have the mask and put it back on and clear it, and not change your depth too much. But in a real world situation with some of the students, if you just like slap their mask off their face randomly during a dive, that's quite a dangerous situation. So no, and trying to do things with an empty lungful really does limit your time, especially with some students. And as soon as they get that mouthpiece in, they are just going to inhale. So that is it's not a good thing, or I wouldn't recommend it. Once you progress, then yeah, you can probably practice it a little bit. But realistically, nah, it is just build that muscle memory, get that second stage in your mouth, clear it, or use that purge button, and that's as good as it's gonna get, really. Any other questions, pop it down in the comment section underneath this video. Use that #AskMark hashtag to get it featured in an up and coming video. And of course, check out our website, scubadivermag.com. Check out our magazine. Goes all around the world in a digital and a print format. So if you like a good old fashioned tangible magazine that you can read, yeah, check it out. We've got a few subscription options for you down there. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good social media stuff if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.